So why don't we start today? Why don't we start 12 weeks ago when we first met, give or take? Could you
Mhm.
paint us a picture of what life was like for you, specifically inside your marriage?
Well, when we first met, when we first talked, I felt like I was being eclipsed by my marriage, literally overshadowed. Like I wasn't free to be myself,
Mm,
to speak my truth, and like I had to choose between me and us,
mm,
me and my husband and I.
right.
And like I had lost myself and who I was before we met. I felt blocked creatively, which is a big part of how I express myself. And I lost touch with that part of myself, that creative part of my sacral chakra that I
Mm,
believe was out of balance.
okay.
Um, I was also very affected by my husband's moods and his opinions and reactions to things just on a day-to-day basis. I just was really reactive to that. Um, I just didn't feel grounded within myself. I didn't feel centered. And so I was just like reacting to everything that he was going through.
Mm.
Um, I was easily influenced by his suggestions, and I put his needs and preferences ahead of my own in order to keep the peace, as they say. And just because I wanted to spend time with him, but I wasn't putting myself first.
Mm,
I wasn't standing in my power, and that really affected my self-esteem, both on a personal and a professional level.
mm,
And of course, after my back injury, having to depend on him for pretty much everything, really made me feel weak and dependent and unworthy.
mm.
And I wasn't sure if I would ever get my independence and my self-confidence back. So that's really where I started when we joined
Wow.
together in this class.
And so why don't we go to 12 weeks later? Because we can fast forward to what changed through this process for you, through the experience. What changed for you, would you say?
Well, the big thing I believe, the first thing that came to mind was that I learned the important difference between self-esteem and self-worth. That was just like this huge shift for me.
Hmm,
Um, and it's funny because it's not like I didn't know this. It's like we
right.
know these things,
Right.
but we lose track of them somehow. And so being in a class like this just helped bring that back home to me.
Hmm,
Um, where self-esteem is based on expectations, on external circumstances, the pursuit of love, respect, recognition, etc. Self-worth, however, we are born worthy.
hmm,
It is universal and it can't be taken away from us and it's unconditional. So I really shifted during this class and remembered. I mean, I use the word remembered intentionally because
hmm,
I am enough. I am worthy. I remembered these things, but it was necessary to go through an experience like this and have help
hmm.
um, relearning this or
Yes.
remembering this because we are all enough. We are all worthy just as we are right now.
Mm,
And we don't have to do anything to earn it. But
mm,
we forget that, at least in my case. And I also learned to remember to focus on myself first, instead of, like I said earlier, always putting my husband's needs and desires first. Um, and I really remember during the class shifting and feeling like, okay, when I'm being true to myself and living from that place, everything benefits, including my marriage. So I didn't have to sacrifice that in order
mm,
to have a good marriage or a good relationship. In fact, when I did try to sacrifice that, the relationship suffered.
oh,
Everything suffered.
yes. Yes.
So it's so important to come from that place of being in your own power and remembering who I am and the gifts that I have.
Mm.
Um, because they're diminished if I don't stand in my own power.
And we're,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's who he fell in love with, and I lost touch with that. So, you and this class have really helped me get back in touch with that part of me
Mm.
and stand back in that power, which is where my husband wants me to be
Oh,
and where I want to be.
yes.
So, because when I'm at peace, everything around me is at peace because I attract that to me. And that's a big part of it as well. Is
Mm.
when I'm in turmoil, then I'm attracting more turmoil. But when I am calm and at peace and confident, then I'm attracting more of those circumstances. I would say that this has been a safe place for me to be seen, encouraged, and supported throughout this entire process.
Mm.
Witnessing other women going through the same process has given me a new perspective on my own life. And I really appreciate the shared truth and the interactive community.
Mm.
I see myself reflected back in unexpected ways, and I
Mhm.
love that. And I realize that we are all more the same than different. And I appreciate knowing that I'm not alone. We have so many similar stories and experiences, and it's really refreshing because we can relate to one another in so many different ways. Um, I'm truly grateful for the opportunity to get to know other amazing and accomplished women
Mm.
from all different areas around the globe, which I always find inspiring and exciting.
Yeah.
Um, and it also helps me broaden, my perspective on my own life because it's so easy to get so micro focused on your own little world. And I think being a part of a group like this really helps you look at things from outside of yourself and from a larger perspective. So
Mm.
for me, that's really been helpful because it's so easy to just kind of get blinders on and get in your own little world. And when you're exposed to other women who are so similar in so many different ways, but they're from different walks of life, different careers, different
Mm.
cultures, it just really broadens your perspective. And it
Mhm.
kind of helps, I think it kind of helps lighten the load because you don't feel like so much, there's not such a weight on your own shoulders. You're not the only one. And it's really been an inspiring experience for me. And I appreciate you and your leadership. You've been such an inspiration to me personally.
Mm.
Um,
Thank
I
you.
really identified with your story in the very beginning. And that's what brought me to this class, is because
Mhm.
we had so many shared experiences through health challenges and getting
Yeah.
back on our feet. And so I just want you to know how grateful I am that,
Mm.
you know, your leadership and your guidance through this has just been amazing. So
Oh,
thank you.
thank you, Jen.